What would you do if the man you buried years ago suddenly reappeared in another country? Married, with children. A woman's life turned upside down when her husband vanished before her eyes, only for her to discover the shocking truth about who he really was. In a village named Umuoka, a man called Obina was buried many years ago. His family mourned, his grave was sealed, and his people moved on with the pain of his loss. To them, Obina was gone forever, but in another country, far from Umuoka, Obina lived a completely different life. Nobody there knew he had once been declared dead. He got married to a woman named Amora, and together they had 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl, yet there was something deeply unsettling about Obina. Inside their home, strange things happened at night. Doors opened on their own. Shadows walked across the walls. Sometimes Amora would wake up to see Obina staring into the darkness, whispering words in a language she didn't understand. Other nights, he would wake up screaming, drenched in sweat, calling out the names of people she had never met. Amora grew restless. She loved her husband, but she could no longer ignore the signs. She begged him, "Obina, take me and the children to your village. I need to know your family. I need to see where you come from." At first, Obina refused. He gave excuses, avoided the topic, and sometimes got angry whenever she mentioned it. But the strange happenings in the house kept growing worse. Plates fell on their own. The children cried at night, saying they saw grandfather in their room even though their grandfather was supposed to be long dead. Finally, one day, Obina agreed. He held Amora's hands with tears in his eyes and whispered, "If you truly want to see my people, I will take you." The journey to the village was long and tense. Amora noticed Obina grew quieter as they got closer. His eyes darted left and right, as though he feared being seen. When they reached Umuoka, Obina stopped in front of an old mud house. His hands trembled as he pointed at it and said, This is my home." But just as Amora turned to ask him something, Obina vanished. Disappeared into thin air, before her eyes. Amora screamed, holding tightly to her children. Villagers rushed out, shocked to see a stranger crying with 2 children at Obina's old compound. But what shook them the most was when Amora told them her husband's name. "My husband is Obina." This was his home. The villagers gasped. Some fled. Others stared in disbelief. One of the elders stepped forward, pointing at the ground. "Obina. That man has been dead for over 15 years. We buried him right here. In this compound." Amora collapsed in tears, clutching her children as the villagers surrounded her. The whispers grew louder, the fear spread, and what Amora discovered next about the man she thought was her husband would change everything. The villagers gathered around Amora as she knelt on the dusty ground, trembling with her children clutched to her chest. Some were whispering in fear, others shaking their heads as if refusing to believe what they just heard. Then, the eldest man in the village, Ponana, stepped forward. His face was lined with years of wisdom and sorrow. He looked deeply into Amora's tearful eyes and said softly, "My daughter, wipe your tears. You are welcome in Umuoka. But what you carry is a heavy truth. The man you call your husband, Obina, he was our son. But Obina has been dead for 15 years. Amora froze, unable to breathe. No, that's not possible. He was alive. He lived with me. He gave me children. How can a dead man?" The villagers murmured. Some women drew closer to comfort her, wrapping their arms around her shoulders, whispering, "Ndu, take heart, you are not alone." Panana sighed deeply, then pointed toward an old woman sitting quietly in the crowd. Her eyes were red from memories long buried. "This is Mama Ifioma," he said. "Obina's first wife. She lived with him here, in this very compound. But when Obina died suddenly, she could not bear the pain. After his burial, she left the village, never to return. Amora's eyes widened in shock. So, he was married. Before me. Mama Ifioma slowly stepped forward. Her voice shook as she spoke. Yes, child. I was his wife. Obina was a good man, strong and kind. But death came for him early. I watched him fall sick, I watched him weaken, and I buried him with my own hands in that grave behind this house. For years, I wept until my heart could no longer carry it. That is why I left. But now. She trailed off, her voice breaking. Everyone could feel the heaviness in her words. Amora shook her head violently, tears pouring down her face. No. This can't be true. If he was dead, then who have I been living with? Who fathered my children? The crowd grew silent. Some villagers crossed themselves. Others muttered prayers under their breath. A woman whispered, Chioku, protect us. This is not ordinary. Ponana placed a hand on Amora's shoulder. His voice was calm but grave. My daughter, the word is deep, and the mysteries of the spirits are greater than the eyes can see. Sometimes, the dead walk among the living. Sometimes, a soul is not at rest. But why Obina returned to you, why he hid his past, why he brought you here only to vanish? Only the gods know. Amora clutched her children tightly. The little boy looked up at her with innocent eyes and asked, Mama, where is Papa? When will he come back? Her heart broke. She could not answer. The villagers decided to welcome Amora and the children. They prepared food, brought water, and gave them a place to rest in the compound. Some women surrounded her, trying to comfort her, while the men whispered among themselves about what this could mean. But deep in the night, as Amora lay awake listening to the strange sounds of the village, she realized one terrifying truth: her husband had been living with her as a man. But he was never truly alive. And now that she had brought his children back to his land, something far darker was waiting to be revealed. The nights in Umuoka were restless. Each time Amora tried to sleep, she felt a heavy presence lingering around the compound. Sometimes she thought she heard Obina's voice calling her name in the wind. Other times, the children would wake up crying, saying they saw their father standing by the window, staring at them silently. Amora's heart could no longer take it. She knew the villagers meant well, but the truth was too heavy to carry. Her husband was gone, truly gone, and the man she lived with in the city had been nothing more than a restless spirit. One morning, after speaking with Mama Ifioma and Ponana, Amora made her decision. She gathered her children and told the villagers through tears. I thank you for welcoming me and for telling me the truth. But I cannot remain here. My children need peace, and I must find help in the only place I know, through God. The villagers nodded in understanding. Some wept with her, some prayed for her safe journey, and others warned her never to forget that she had touched the shadow of death itself. With blessings, food for the road, and heavy hearts, they sent Amora back to the city. Back in the city, Amora wasted no time. She went straight to her pastor, tears streaming down her face, as she narrated everything: the strange happenings, her husband's disappearance, the villagers' shocking revelation. The pastor listened quietly. His face turned but calm. Then he said, My daughter, what you have encountered is a spirit not at rest. But God's power is greater than any spirit of darkness. Your husband's soul was bound to this world, but you and your children do not belong to the grave. You belong to life. He laid his hands upon Amora and the children. The church gathered around, praying with fervor. Voices rose, songs of deliverance filled the air. Amora felt a heaviness lift from her shoulders as the pastor declared, Every chain of the grave, every shadow of death, every restless spirit be broken in Jesus' name. The children, who had been restless for days, suddenly grew calm. They fell asleep peacefully in the church, their faces shining as though a great weight had been lifted. Amora wept not in fear, but in relief. For the first time since her nightmare began, she felt safe. She felt free. From that day forward, everything changed. The strange shadows vanished. No more whispers at night. The children laughed again, running through the house with joy. Amara herself felt new strength, her spirit no longer haunted by the ghost of her husband. Though her heart still ached for the man she once loved, she finally understood. Obina's chapter was closed. His spirit had returned, but only for a time. Now, she and her children had been set free, and so, Amara chose to live again, this time in peace, this time in light. She raised her children with love, telling them that their father was gone, but they would never lack the presence of God. In the end, what was once sorrow turned into testimony. What was once fear became freedom. Amara and her children lived happily again, safe, whole, and forever free. The end. This story teaches us that not everything we see in life is ordinary. Some mysteries are beyond human understanding. It reminds us to seek truth no matter how painful it is, to trust in God's power over every shadow of darkness, and to always protect our family with prayer and faith. In the end, no matter how deep sorrow may run, light will always conquer darkness, and life will always triumph over death. Thank you so much, my amazing fans and viewers, for always watching my stories. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to give this video a like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and of course, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another powerful story. Together, we'll keep growing and sharing more fascinating stories. I love you all.